My name is Nathan McMinn, and I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Conserv. When I first got involved at Red Mountain Makers was actually when I was working on an air quality monitoring project that was just kind of like a personal pet project. And I built a thing, and some of it worked, some of it didn't, and I was really looking for some people that could maybe help me make it a little better. So I just came down to Red Mountain Makers during the open hours and brought my little gadget with me, and everybody there was really cool, was really interested to see what we were working on. And after that, I decided to just become a member. It was within a year. So the initial project, this air quality monitoring project, was interesting, but obviously it wasn't a company. It was really more of a passion project. The things we learned doing it, though, really pointed us in the direction of some technologies that had tremendous potential and just hadn't really been applied right yet. So it was probably within a year after visiting Red Mountain Makers and joining when we decided to take what we had learned and start working on a company. So Conserv, we are now in our 4th year of operation, and we build sensors and software for arts and cultural preservation. So if you've ever been to a museum, a historic property, an art gallery, a library, there are people that work in all of those places whose primary job is to make sure that that collection is well cared for, so that my kids, their kids, can still see and learn from those things. One of the best tools they have for doing that is developing a very good understanding of the collection environment. So basic things like temperature, humidity, but also more complicated things like vibration measurement, ultraviolet light exposure, illuminance. So we build a suite, like a turnkey solution for that market.
Cool. It reminds me of the Declaration of Independence and all the stuff they do to keep it preserved for as long as it has been preserved.
Exactly right. Yep. I would not want to be on that project, but I imagine it's incredibly complex and very, very difficult. But it's very similar, right? You see this in most places that have sensitive artifacts. The Declaration of Independence being a particularly high-profile example, but anywhere where you have photography, papers, textiles, furniture, artwork is going to be facing many of the same challenges.
Awesome.
So Conserv has grown pretty quickly, actually. We really just started shipping the final version of our product when the pandemic hit. So that presented a really big growth challenge, right? It's really hard to sell things to museums when nobody's there. But we survived, and as we've started to emerge from this a little bit, sales have gone really well. I think we grew 11 times last year, which is pretty substantial. As I mentioned earlier, we're about to double the size of our team. So that's pretty exciting. Red Mountain Makers was really instrumental in getting us to market. So when I first started working on this project, I had never done any 3D printing. I had done very little 3D modeling. We knew that our beta units, our prototypes that we put out in the field, were going to have to be manufactured in-house because we only needed to build 100 of them. So, I came down to Red Mountain Makers. Folks taught me how to run a printer without setting fire to things, and how to tweak our design so that it would not only be printable but would also be injection moldable when the time came to scale up the product. As we got ready to do our FCC testing, we needed to verify some of the radio characteristics of the device, and there happened to be people at Red Mountain Makers that had the equipment and the know-how to do it. So when we went to testing, we went with confidence that we were going to pass. So there have been a lot of ways that the makerspace helped us out as we were trying to get to market. I was really proud of the first time we passed certification testing because that was difficult, both for the U.S. and for Europe. Big challenge. I was
FCC.
Yeah, FCC and what they call CE Red, Radio Equipment Directive. I was really proud the first time we actually got a volume production run of our product made. So instead of being like a hand-assembled prototype, we actually sent the manufacturing out. We got the things made. They came back and they worked. That was a huge milestone. But in the last year, it's really just been about the things I'm most proud of is how well our customers seem to be responding to what we're doing, because we just take the time to listen to them, which a lot of businesses in our space don't. I'm really, really proud of the team that we've built. We have some amazing people that we've hired from the museum space and from other startups that have really just helped us go further faster. So, these days, the things that I'm most proud of aren't technical at all. They're really, listening to our customers, building things that they're really responding to, and kind of mentoring and coaching a team that is able to just really kick ass. We won Alabama Launchpad twice. So we won the seed stage a couple years ago, or sorry, the concept stage a couple years ago, and then the seed stage, I think, last year.
Okay, that's with the EDPA, right?
Yep, Economic Development Partnership of Alabama. And their support's been essential. I mean, the extra capital, working capital we were able to get from them as Launchpad winners was a tremendous help to the business.
Awesome.
I think where makerspaces have a really unique role to play is in companies that are trying to build new businesses around physical products, around something that you actually make. If we had tried to move a laser cutter into Velocity to laser cut the first version of our packaging, which is something that we did at Red Mountain Makers, I don't think they would have liked that very much. So, if you're building a physical thing, having access to a makerspace is kind of critical. Yeah, 100%. I mean, your first prototypes are always going to be something that you build by hand. And, to do that, you need people around you that know how to build things. But, even once we had passed prototype and we were shipping product, when the time came for some custom packaging, we wanted to build a bunch of prototypes of that before we went and paid some company, thousands of dollars to make us a whole bunch of them. I wanted to make 20. And, there's a laser cutter at Red Mountain Maker, so it was a logical step. Let's just go down there and make a few. And then we can physically put things together and, see, does it fit, does it work? And if you're a physical product company, you're going to have a whole bunch of those steps along your journey. And, having access to the right skills and the right equipment is just critical to success. I actually didn't take any because we got to the point really quickly where we were right into launching this company. And, I brought my daughter down. We did a little bit of woodworking. We learned to run the laser cutter. She really liked being able to draw a picture, have me take a photograph of it, turn that into a drawing, take that drawing file to the laser cutter and actually laser cut that thing she just drew, or at least wood burn it. So we did a lot of stuff like that. That was really fun. We do a lot of science projects at home, so we built a Van de Graaff generator, and she thought it was really fun to go up to the makerspace and show people how she could basically electrocute them. So
every kid's dream.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. But in terms of classes and such, unfortunately, I didn't have the time to do it because we went so quickly into trying to launch this company. I think the most important thing that makerspaces do for kids is make them realize that they can do it, right? I mean, a lot of this stuff on the surface seems really complicated, but when you're doing it, with somebody who's done it before, and again, your first attempt at anything is going to be terrible. The biggest thing that I think my daughter's gotten from it is just the confidence of knowing that if she's willing to research it and figure out how it works and go to the right place and meet with the right people, that she can really make anything she wants.
I like that a lot, which is what I learned being here. Why should businesses and corporations be invested in makerspaces, especially their own local makerspaces in their area?
Well, I think it starts with, what I just said, right? With giving kids the confidence to know that they can actually build things, they can actually make things. That sort of confidence will inspire them whether they're trying to make software or they're trying to make furniture or they're trying to make any kind of new idea that they have work. So having access to a space like that, it starts building that confidence from the time kids are really little. As they get older, right, there's a distinct sort of workforce development role that I think makerspaces can play. Learning what an XY axis is and why that matters to like a 3D printer, for example. That's an applicable skill in all sorts of jobs, especially in anything to do with manufacturing, right? You work on an assembly line with robots, you're going to run into that kind of thing. So, I think it's an overlooked workforce development tool for sure. It wouldn't happen. So, in the early days of the pandemic, when the supply chain just got slammed and those face shields were just not available anywhere, right? There were literally none to buy. Through online organizing, that team was able to come together really quick. And I think we went from the call to action to the first face shield deliveries to the hospitals in less than a week. We needed a space for drop-off. We needed a team that was invested and knew how to make things. All the people that were crowdsourcing the 3D prints, they all needed support. We needed logistics for raw materials, and the makerspace provided all of those things. So that effort, without the makerspace, maybe it would have been possible to do 10 or 20, but not to do the thousands that we ended up doing. One other thing I want to mention too is that it's not just the individual makerspace, it's also the maker community that comes along with that. Because you remember when the 3D printed face shield thing was kicking off, there's kind of a limit to how fast you can 3D print things. And one of the other people in the maker community in Huntsville, he found an injection molding company to work with. And that turned a project that could crank out a couple hundred a week into a project that could crank out a couple thousand a week. And those sort of network connections probably wouldn't have existed if all these people weren't working in their maker communities in their respective towns. So it's not just one, right? It's joining this larger regional, national, and global community of makers that all share ideas, all collaborate, all contribute. Oh, they're definitely connected, right? People would regularly come to visit Red Mountain Makers from other spaces, right? Folks that were vloggers or bloggers or YouTubers, they would absolutely stop by the space, and they get to know you, you get to know them, they understand what you're working on, they go visit another space, and they're like, oh, well, you should talk to the people in Birmingham because they're working on something similar. And there's definitely a lot of cross-pollination and a lot of network connectivity between all these different spaces. I actually launched that project. That was the air quality project that originally brought me to Red Mountain Makers. Unfortunately, I did have to step back from that a little bit as we went full tilt into the business. But I was there at the beginning of that one. As a matter of fact, that prototype, that first horrible device that I brought to Red Mountain Makers for help with, that was the very first version of the sensor that they're deploying for that project today.
And that's part of I know they got grants for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they managed to secure some grant funding, which is amazing. Just the people, a space is, this is a space. it's without people, it's kind of soulless and empty. What I'm gonna miss most is definitely the community. Just do it and be prepared to fail and fail again and learn something from every time you fail. And just keep doing that until eventually you get good at it.
Yes, do the Nike thing, but fail a couple times and then do the Nike thing again.
Yeah, just go, right? There's so many people that are building so many amazing things that don't necessarily have what you might consider a traditional background for doing those types of things. So the best advice I can have is just don't talk about it, just go do it. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you need a lot of things, and a degree is not necessarily one of them. You need a good idea, you need focus, and you need grit, and really you need a degree of stupidity. So you really just it's a hard life, but you have to be willing to just go out there and just do it. It's not like working for somebody else where maybe if something doesn't get done, somebody else will pick up the slack. right? When it's your thing, if you don't do it, nobody else is going to. So, you know, you have to be willing to do that and do it poorly and hear people tell you that you can't and hear people tell you that you're not qualified and ignore all those people. 3 words? I only get 3 words. I'm pretty gregarious. I'm a pretty verbose kind of guy. So
there you go. You got big words.
Yeah, big words. Let's just say friendly, smart, and helpful. It's kind of, I think some people get kind of intimidated by it, right? Because they're just starting to learn to do something.
Yes.
Like they're just starting, maybe they just like took one knife forging class and they forged their first knife, or they're just getting started woodworking and they made a piece of like outdoor furniture. Sometimes people get intimidated, like I don't want to walk into a space full of people that really know what they're doing and look like an idiot. But I mean, first of all, the first step on the road to being good at something is sucking at it. So people just kind of need to get over that whole imposter syndrome thing and just be like, if you like doing it, keep doing it and you'll get better at it. But you know, when you go to like a really great makerspace, people there don't make you feel dumb because you don't know things, right? They're like really focused on helping you solve problems, helping you get better at things, and they're just not at all judgmental about it. So, you know, it's a very welcoming environment for people of any skill level.